Hello equestrian-adventuresses! In this video I'm going to be sharing with you my tips for surviving the Mongol Derby, the world's longest and toughest horse race in the world. And I'm sitting here on set of our upcoming documentary, an episode about Greenland. So horse riding in Greenland. So yes, those are actual icebergs floating around behind me. And I wanted to do this video about the Mongol Derby while here in Greenland because it's August, and every year in August is when 30 to 40 riders from all around the world actually travel to Mongolia to compete in this race, in this competition. And so I wanted to wish everyone good luck on this year's Derby and in future Derbies, and I also wanted to share with you some of my personal survival tips. I completed the Mongol Derby back in 2014, and yeah, it's definitely an adventure. So before I get into my survival tips for the Mongol Derby, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, and also share this video with your friends, especially, watch our upcoming episode about Greenland, and we have lots of documentaries coming out from all around the world featuring equestrian adventuresses just like you. So please hit the subscribe button and share it with your friends. Surviving the Mongol Derby, tip number 1. Learn some Mongolian. I know, when you're sitting in America or wherever, it seems a little bit difficult to try and pick up a few words of Mongolian. Not a problem. What you need to do, get there a couple of days early to the capital city of UB, Ulaanbaatar, and the first time you sit in a taxi heading towards your hostel or wherever, you need to be asking the taxi driver, how do you say hello? How do you say, how are you? And most importantly, give me the fastest horse, please. Another tip with learning some Mongolian, you can actually pre-print a letter in Mongolian, something to the effect of, hi, I'm competing in a horse race, and, can I stay with you for the night, and maybe you can offer me somewhere to sleep and some food. I had a letter just like this when I was riding in the Derby, and it did actually help quite a bit. But you would be surprised how much, although the Mongolians don't speak any English, how much you can actually communicate with them just by miming and playing charades. Tip number 2. Leave your horse alone. Yeah? They don't need you, and they don't need your opinions. So what I would do when I picked my horse and they had it all saddled and ready, I would check on my GPS which direction I needed to go, and then I would get on, and as soon as you're on, the horse starts running. So you just, maybe even with 2 hands, it's up to you, depends on the horse, but steer your horse into that general direction and just let it fly. And then, leave your horse alone. I rode mostly in jumping seat and forward position. Didn't have much use for the reins on most of them. You also have a little lash, which you can use to kind of encourage the horse if you have a lazier one, but honestly, for 40K, you're not going to be able to convince it to do very much. So yeah, leave your horse alone. They know the land, they know the terrain, and they know what they're doing. So I had a horse which was galloping full speed in a valley where there's lots of marmot holes. I don't know what a marmot hole looks like. I trusted that my horse knew. And at that speed he was running, if his foot was to go into a marmot hole, I'm pretty sure we were both going to get killed. So what I did, I just let him have the reins, and I said, you steer. Don't kill us. Tip number 3. Bring some oatmeal. I actually hadn't thought of this personally myself. One of the other riders who ended up scratching towards the end of the Derby gave me some of their oatmeal, which was in a Ziploc bag. And at that point, I had been living, breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the Mongolian food, which was fine. I didn't mind it, but it was the same fatty noodle soup every single day, 3 times a day. And after, 7 days or whatever, I was just sick of it. So they handed me a little baggie of oatmeal, and that little baggie, it saved my life and it got me to the finish line. If you are looking for other tips about what to pack specifically, I have the perfect thing for you. I've actually made a Mongol Derby packing list. You can find the link in our show notes. So just, hit the button down there. You'll see the link to our website, equestrian-adventuresses.com, and you will see Mongol Derby packing list. It's got everything you need on there, so you don't have to worry. I already know all of the rules. You need 5 kg of gear and all this stuff, and I put together a list based on my personal experiences and other previous Derby competitors, what type of boots they wore, what type of, if they had half chaps, what type of jackets, what type of breeches, what type of sleeping bag. I have everything on there, so be sure to click on that link, the Mongol Derby packing list. It's going to help you a lot. Tip number 4. This one might surprise you, especially the ladies traveling alone. Don't stay in the horse stations. I actually recommend staying with the local families, not affiliated with the Derby. And I know it's a little bit scary when you're a woman traveling alone, as I did, but actually, as long as it's not a gur filled with only men, make sure that when you ride up to a gur that you see ladies around, families, children playing, things like that. And you basically, hand your horse to the guy. He's going to help you with your horse, and the family is going to welcome you in. They're going to feed you, and they're going to make you drink the Aerog drink, and, they're just going to spoil the crap out of you. And a lot of them, they actually gave me their bed. There was one bed in the gur, and they refused to sleep in it while I was their guest. And, they're really going to welcome you, and it's just such an amazing experience. And I personally really recommend not staying in the horse stations and staying with the local families. If you stay in the horse stations, you're going to be crammed in there with 10, 15 other riders. They're all probably grumpy and stinky just like you, trying to win or whatever it is that they're doing. So I highly recommend staying with the nomadic families. And, that's part of the experience is, I think, meeting the Mongolian people. Tip number 5, if you have never used your instincts before, you better tune in. Yeah, you're going to need to use your gut feeling, the feeling you have in your belly, and your instincts. The GPS is going to tell you, go this direction, but it's not going to tell you how to navigate through the mountains or the marshes or, whatever it is. So when you're looking at a situation, whatever the obstacle is in front of you, you really need to tune into your gut and your feelings and your instincts, and that is what's going to help you cross the finish line more than anything else, more than the little blue dot on your GPS, and more than whatever gear and equipment that you have packed with you. It's going to be your gut and your instincts and your determination to finish. Also, when you're choosing horses, use your gut, use your instincts. The Mongolians might recommend you some really awful horses. They might recommend you some really good ones, but always, always, always use your gut feeling. If it looks like it's a bit of a squirrely one or it's a little too much for you, don't do it. What's the point? It's not worth falling off or getting injured and getting scratched from the competition. So use your gut. Tip number 6, ride with someone. And I think a lot of people forget about this, especially if they're very focused on winning. If they want to win and they want to go. But you'll be surprised to know that actually there's quite a lot of people who finish the Mongol Derby first with someone, with a person that they were riding with. So, yes, you might be determined to win, but it doesn't mean you have to suffer. It doesn't mean you have to do it alone. It's actually so much more fun if you ride with someone. And trust me, on the Mongolian steppes, the type of friendships you're going to make are lifelong. You're not making friends, you're making brothers or sisters or, second cousins or whatever. You're making deep bonds with people. So I really recommend riding with someone, and it just makes the experience so much more fun. When I started the Mongol Derby, I was determined to do a solo adventure. I was going to just ride by myself because I was so used to traveling and working with horses in crazy countries alone. After day 3, I realized how miserable it was and how awful it was, and I just wasn't having any fun. And so on the morning of the 4th day, I teamed up with another rider, and we ended up finishing together, and it was the best decision I made of the Derby. We became really good friends, and we still keep in touch to this day, and I think a lot of the obstacles and challenges that we faced, I would have had such a different experience if I had been on my own, and I really appreciated having that company and that companionship. Lastly, tip number 7. This one is for the ladies mostly. If you're riding, especially on a crazy fast horse with no brakes, and you really have to pee, there is a solution. Firstly, you need to point your horse to a river. You got to find a river somewhere. You can usually look it up on your GPS if you don't see any. But point your horse towards a river, put it knee deep in water, and then that way you can hold the reins in one hand, unhook yourself and, squat a little bit while it's dancing around in the water. If it's knee deep, it's not going to be able to jump around too much, and you will be able to dismount on and off your horse so much easier knee deep in water. Because some of these Mongolian horses, once you're off, they're not going to let you back on. So you need to get off, do your business, get back on while they're still in the water. They can't do anything about it. It's great. Because of this trick, you will need tall boots, which are waterproof. I had some. What I used and what I recommend is actually in that packing list, the Mongol Derby packing list on equestrian-adventuresses.com. So be sure to click on the show notes and read that packing list, and I think it's going to help you quite a lot. Of course, we have several recommendations from other riders, but that is what I personally did, and it was very effective. So, yeah, that one is just for you ladies, and good luck with the Mongol Derby, and I look forward to hearing your guys' comments of if any of these tips worked for you, and maybe you have some other extra tips that you would recommend to others. Please comment below, because, the more we can help each other, the better. So, good luck, and thanks for watching.